Hey, everybody. How's it going? This is Saturday. This is the Stuff I Heard podcast. Let's see, October 10th. Yeah. Remember that? How about that? We're getting right along here. I know it's been a week since I've done a podcast, and I hope everybody's cool with it. I had a change in my work schedule, like I mentioned on the last podcast. This is going to have to be once a week for a while until things change again, or unless I have guests that I can do podcasts with during the week, then I can post things. So if you want to be on the podcast, let me know and we will get together and we'll do our little Zoom thing and reconnect and connect to the world and have your ideas floating around there and existing as though it were a living, breathing thing all on its own. But that's solely up to you. Um, whether you're here or not, I'm still going to do it because I got voices in my head and they can't stop. So I got to keep talking. I got to tell you guys what's going on. So this week has been an interesting week. Um, First, I'd like to talk about the fact that we had a coworker pass away this week. Very sad moment for everybody. I work with a guy. His name is Derrick Brown, and Derrick was a great guy. He was a great coworker. He was a good friend. He was loved by a lot of people. He he and I have worked together for quite a while. He was uh, he was amazing. He was one of my top drivers who, if I had a new person going with him, I could say, "Hey, I need you to work on this with this guy," and he would absolutely, I'll take care of it. I mean, whatever thing it is that you needed accomplished, he would figure out a way and he would get it done. And he was dependable and he was likable, and he everybody who talks about him talks about how much they enjoyed his friendship and his camaraderie and his just likability. I know that on his spare time, he drag raced motorcycles. He was really good at it, apparently. I've heard lots of people joke with him back and forth about, hey, how about we go out this weekend and you show me what that bike can do? And he's like, listen, this thing costs a lot of money to run, and I'm not just going to burn up my motorcycle for nothing. If you want to bet, like, we can put some money down and I'll show you what it can do. But, like, he was serious about it. This is his passion. This is something it was his, it was his moment to enjoy life. And he apparently was really good at it as well. I mean, that's kind of one of those things where you hope that the thing that you enjoy, you're good at. And he was. And if he were to pass away racing motorcycles, I'm sure a lot of us would be like, okay, I get it. I mean, it's a dangerous sport. You're going really fast on two wheels. Things happen. At least he would have, passed away doing something that he really enjoyed. Um, and I guess that wouldn't have hurt as bad. But he was out running errands with his wife, and there was a car chase going on, and someone, I don't know the details exactly, so I don't want to speculate and give false information out there, but this is the Stuff I Heard podcast, so I'm literally telling you things I heard. Someone was a high-speed chase, and they slammed into the back of him and caused his vehicle to slam into the back of slam into a concrete truck. And he was airlifted to a hospital in Charleston. Um, he was unresponsive, and he passed away. And it was very sad. It's a very sad time for all of us. Um, I put a picture on my Instagram if you guys want to see. When I got to work the next day, some people had built like a shrine around his hand trucks and put candles up and a picture and some flowers. And it's painful for a lot of people. There's a lot of us that are affected by this. A lot of us really respected the guy and really looked up to him and worked side by side with him for a long time, and it's hard. Um, to Derrick Brown's family, I know that this is extremely difficult right now, and I just want you to know that a lot of us are praying for your family, and if there's anything you need, please reach out and we would be glad to help in any way we can. I don't know if they have a GoFundMe or anything like that yet. If they do, I'll mention it on this podcast. Um, But yeah, thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family, and I'll miss you, brother. Um, so anyway, that's going on. My dad, you guys know my dad, Richard Peak. He's on YouTube as R Peak. He is retired and making a trip down from Maine through Virginia to go visit Trisha's son Todd and his family. Todd is on YouTube. Todd Heckel. That's spelled TODHOECKEL. Look him up on YouTube. He is building a Mini Cooper rat rod. His wife drove a Mini Cooper. She was in an accident. Nobody was. She wasn't hurt or anything, but the vehicle. They decided to total the vehicle because the front end was all crumpled up. But like from the front end back, I guess from the cabin back, everything was fine. And he's talked about this a little bit on YouTube. They had the option of totaling it out, and he then wanted to use the body and somehow made arrangements to do so, and had this motor that he was building to put into some kind of car creation that he wanted to do. I think at one time he wanted to build like a Nova. Um, and I may be wrong on the information on this, but I think he wanted to build a Nova, and Dad had a motor that was pretty cool, but needed to be rebuilt. And Todd's into that kind of stuff. So he's been rebuilding the motor, and he put some of the videos up on YouTube. But I think as the story goes, Todd's a kind of an introvert and not really one of those guys that's like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. But to be honest, my dad was an introvert for a long time. And then he got into doing videos, and that sort of became his crutch to get over that. And, in a lot of ways, I guess so was I. I don't know. My wife may debate whether or not that's true or not. But there is some validity in, let me just instruct and tell you what I'm doing, and in the process I'm going to gain some confidence in myself because I'm telling you about things I'm knowledgeable about, and I'm telling you things that I enjoy, and I don't care if you like it or don't. I'm just going to keep doing it because this is what I enjoy. And it's sort of that fake it till you make it mentality of, I'm just going to keep doing this. Like, either you're on board or you're not. There's an audience out there for everybody, apparently. So let me just tell you what I'm doing. Because maybe there's some kid out there who will come across this video in the future and be like, oh, that's pretty cool. I want to do something like that. And then it may inspire them to do something else. We spend a lot of time right now, especially in politics and, with the climate of things going on, we spend a lot of time being very divisive. And I don't think we stress enough about how much we can inspire one another to do great things. This is one of the reasons that I really enjoy this podcast is I want to promote people to do great things. I want to promote people who are doing great things. I want to be like, hey, by the way, check this out. I think you'll enjoy it. And you may not, but there's a chance, right? That's why I talk about shows that I enjoy on TV. That's why I talk about podcasts that I enjoy, conversations that are inspiring. A lot of that stuff's out there. And we sort of need to share information with each other to find the good stuff because there's a lot of bad stuff. Well, let's share the good stuff, right? So Todd's building this Mini Cooper rat rod, and there's some pretty cool videos that he's put up of tearing out sheet metal and building the frame on the inside, getting it all secure with roll cages and stuff like that, and preparing it for the front end to be modified to hold a V8 motor. I mean, this car is going to be really lightweight, and with this motor, it's going to be really fast. It's going to be exciting. It is exciting. I'm excited. I'm not even part of it. I'm watching it from the outside going, ooh, neat. Because it inspires me. It makes me think that, yeah, if this is possible, there's all kinds of things that are possible. Why not, man? This is really cool. So big shout out to Todd and to Dad. This is a cool idea. I'm glad you guys are kind of tinkering with this together. It's definitely on the cool chart. So, Dad now I think is down in Georgia at the lake house, and I'm looking forward to seeing him. We have a trip planned to go up on vacation in that area. It's about an hour away, but then we're going to somehow make a turn as Google Maps makes us go, we're gonna stop by and visit and say hey. Um, so yeah, that should be nice. So let's talk about stuff I heard, okay? Because I know some of this is personal, but some of this is also interesting. So I've been listening to um, some Bertcast, the podcast Bertcast, and he's done a couple which I mentioned that I wanted to catch up on, and I have, and they're really good. Um, there is the Rob Schneider podcast that he did September 22nd. It's episode 431. Rob Schneider, you guys probably know as he's in like Saturday Night Live. He does lots of the shows with Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler's one of his best friends. Um, he had his own movie, Deuce Bigelow and the Animal. Um, he has a new comedy special on Netflix, which I haven't seen yet, called Asian Mama Mexican Kids. And it's basically about his life. He talks about being, a kid of a mixed race family, and he's got kids that are of a mixed race family. But he's got, he's a comedian. He's a legit comedian. That's one of the things that him and Bert talk about a lot, is the fact that, even doing these movies and stuff, like he was a legit stand up even when all this was going on. But it's just that when he was doing stand up, this was the path. Like you start doing stand up, and then you end up, making movies and TV shows with your friends. And I mean, he's at a point now where he says he spent the last 10 years just doing stand up as much as possible, and it led up to this special. So I want to check it out. I'm going to check it out. I haven't yet. But if you're interested at all in Adam Sandler and the empire that he's built and the way he's done it, including his friends into all kinds of things, this is a podcast to listen to, because he talks about all of the intimate details about how that came to be. And Bert's a fan. Bert's a fan not only of Rob Schneider, but of Adam Sandler. And they kind of share some inside stuff with each other about how, how that's all gone down. Um, there's a very interesting story about how um, Rob was put into Big Daddy, the movie Big Daddy. Um, Adam didn't have the pull that he had, but you'll listen to it. Just trust me, it's good. It's good information. It's really cool. It just sort of reinvigorated my mentality that sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know, and sometimes who you know can help you. So, broaden your perspective out there and your horizons and your pool of people in your community, right? Because you never know when somebody could help you. I say that to say this. I just watched Adam Sandler's new special on Netflix, his movie that he put out called Herbie Halloween. And it's basically him as sort of a stunted growth man child who every Halloween rides around on his bicycle and tries to keep kids safe. And in the beginning of it, he's kind of a moron, and everybody sort of treats him bad, and they get a kick out of harassing him. And his character, though, is interesting, and the movie's pretty interesting. He includes everybody who wanted to be in the movie in the movie. There's even a great thing there with Kathy Bates and Shaq that I'm not going to share, but you guys are going to, when you see that, you're going to be like, oh my God, that's funny. It's pretty funny. Jack Black also. Trust me, this is good. It's dumb humor, so don't be thinking that this is like Spanglish. This is not one of his highbrow, 51st dates. Well, even 51st dates is kind of silly, but it's even dumber than that, but it's still good. And maybe because I'm a guy, maybe because I have a childlike sense of humor, I enjoyed it. So anyway, enough about Adam Sandler. You guys know who he is. So another podcast on the Bertcast, episode 432, which was the next one. Bert did one with Pauly Shore. Pauly Shore, I'm sure everybody knows who he is. His mom, Mitzi Shore, was basically the person who's responsible for comedy as we know it coming out of the store in Los Angeles. she was kind of the godmother of comedy, who nurtured people and inspired people and tried to promote comedy above everything else. There is innumerable stories that come out of every comedian about their involvement with Mitzi Shore. Pauly Shore was, in my lifetime, one of the biggest celebrities to come along during the height of MTV. Um, I think I was in high school, and you couldn't turn on a TV without seeing Pauly Shore on it. Um, he sort of played kind of a moronic. There's a theme here. I just realized that. Wow. He played this moronic but lovable guy who was just wild and crazy, and he would do whatever for a laugh. And he talks about how, on this podcast, he talks about how, yeah, I was a celebrity, but I don't know how I got there, but I didn't really deserve it, and I wasn't really as funny as I thought I was. And he goes, I did some movies and people enjoyed them and whatever. And he goes, but it wasn't until I lost everything, until I lost my starring role in movies, which I thought that was what I wanted to do. And I fell on my face and I realized I got to do something on my own. He apparently did a movie called Pauly Shore is Dead. And he says that that's still his favorite movie he's ever done. He says that, I haven't seen it, but he says that it's his favorite. And he said, honestly, it was real. It was in the moment. It was me starting over. It was, what I do from here. All of my opportunities went away. So if I don't make it myself, I have nothing, which seems to be a plot that a lot of people have in life. A lot of people have talked about this. I've talked about this on this podcast. Chris Titus talked about it when he was on Bert's podcast. When Chris Titus had the number one show in America and the executive decided to pull the plug on it because he wouldn't let them dictate what happened with his show. He wanted to have a show, the Titus Show. I'm sure some of the older generation listening to this might remember the Titus Show. He wanted to show that he could have a relationship with his wife and they could go through a lot of hardship, but they would still find a way to stay together. He goes, that was not like my childhood, but I wanted to have a show like that. He said, and I had executives come in and tell me that they wanted me and the main character, me and the female lead to get divorced. And he goes, I didn't want that to happen. And I told them as much, and I didn't use nice language about it. And they pulled the plug. And he said, and I didn't realize that they could pull the plug on the number one rated show on TV, but they did. And he said, so me landing on my face, I realized, oh, if I have to make anything, I have to make it myself. And he did. Same thing happened with Adam Sandler. Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla talks a lot about how he gotten into doing the Mr. Bertram character on K-Rock. He then, used that and his friendship with Jimmy Kimmel to then establish their own production company, Jackhole Enterprises. They then did the Man Show together. They did lots of other projects together. He got into terrestrial radio as the head shock jock radio guy whenever Howard Stern moved to satellite. And then when he was at the top of his game, the radio station decided that they weren't going to use him anymore. They were going to go in a different direction because they wanted younger and Latino. And so they pulled the plug on him. And he said, when I realized I'm out of work and I have this life, my wife and kids are sitting around and my wife's like, oh, don't worry, I'll get a job and we'll make it work. And he's like, how much do you think all this costs to run? And when she told him the number, he goes, oh, we're in for a rude awakening. Like, I got to make some money. Like, it's that falling on your face moment of, okay, this didn't work. Let me find a new path. And he started up his podcast. He started up, Ace Entertainment, Adam Carolla Entertainment. And now he has a pirate ship that he calls it, a empire, whatever you want to deem it as. He came up with his own thing. It's like, I'm going to drive this ship and I'm going to do whatever I want. And because I know my instincts have served me well. And if I keep with this idea, then I'm going to do fine. Pauly Shore, same thing. Okay. Same thing for Chris Titus. Do it yourself. Just do it yourself. Now, Bert, this is kind of interesting because Bert's had these people on, including Greg Fitzsimmons. Greg told him years ago when Bert was talking about shooting a special and how Showtime wanted him to do this and wanted him to do that. And he was like, they want me to do this, but I really think I could do it this way. And Greg, even back then, this was years ago. I'm talking early in the podcast, and I've listened to every one of Bert's podcasts. Not to brag, I'm just saying, 400 and something episodes he's in. I've listened to every single one of them intently because there's nuggets of good stuff in there. Even with him being silly and trying to entertain you and get you to forget about your day, he'll make an ass of himself. He'll self-deprecate. He'll do whatever. There are moments in there where there's good stuff. And I hope that's kind of true with my podcast. I hope even though I'm self-deprecating and I make fun of myself and stuff like that, and I hope that I'm able to point out some good nuggets that then I get to pass on to someone else, and then you get to take that and run with it. Like, here's the baton. You run with it. Like, I've ran as far as I can. Here, you go. That's what life's supposed to be about, right? I mean, I heard that said somewhere. Learn to do something well, teach someone to do what you know how to do, and then get out of the way. I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? That's sort of the purpose of life. So Greg Fitzsimmons told him, he said, don't let Showtime tell you what to do. Like, do it yourself. It doesn't cost that much to do your own production. Like, you can afford it. If you believe in yourself and you know you've got a good product, do it yourself. What do you got to lose? And then if you win big. And he's like, and if you bank on yourself, you're going to count on yourself to win. And Bert didn't do that in the beginning. He let Showtime dictate what he wanted to do. And nobody watched his Machine special until it got picked up by Netflix. I mean, until he got green light from Showtime to then share it on Facebook, and people started resharing it, and suddenly people knew who the Machine was. I already knew who he was. Thank you, Garth. My buddy Garth Blair got me into that loop. Boy, talk about going down a rabbit hole. Big shout out to Garth. I hope you're doing well, buddy. But Greg was right. And years later, Bert is doing it himself. This whole drive-in movie theater tour thing that he was talking about doing, that he's done, the Hot Summer Nights tour, just came out of the idea of, I want to do this. Like, I believe in this so much. I'm putting my money into it. He's finally at that maturity level and that confidence level to go, I don't care what it costs. We're going to make this happen, and people are going to come. I just know it. I just know people want to do this. And he is, coined as the person who started this drive-in movie comedy thing. And there's a lot of people that make fun of it. Even Chappelle made fun of it. But also, Chappelle doesn't know what Bert does. Like, Bert and Chappelle are both really good comedians. I don't think Chappelle knows who he is, even though they've met several times. They talk about that a little bit on the Two Bears, One Cave. How, even Tom Segura opened up for Chappelle several times. They've run into each other since, and Chappelle's like, "Hey, I'm Dave." He's like, "Yeah, I'm well aware. Like, I opened for you. Like, you don't remember? Okay, whatever." Which, to be fair, Chappelle is on the level of celebrity so high that he can't remember everybody he's come into contact with. I mean, I'm that way now, and I'm not a celebrity. I mean, I've trained so many people with several jobs that I've had, between 3 jobs in the last, however many, 20 something years. If I come into contact with somebody and I didn't work for a very long time with them, I may remember your face, I may not, but you'll remember me for some reason because you've met one of me. I've met a lot of you. Okay. And that's just on my small scale. That has nothing to do with being a celebrity like Bert or Chappelle. I mean, I don't know how some people do it. And it seems like nowadays, if you're going to be a celebrity, you almost have to have a personal assistant with like a Google Drive built into their brain so that they can constantly pull up people's information and be like, oh, this is the director for so-and-so, and this is the producer of this thing, and this is the blah, 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 blah. I mean, you almost have to be tapped into that somehow. Otherwise, you end up offending people and you don't even realize you're doing it. So anyway, back to my point. Bert's doing this drive-in movie theater thing, and it's a huge success. Chappelle's run with this idea, even though it's not a drive-in. He's done this summer camp type thing, and it's turned into a big success. Whitney Cummings apparently is doing the same thing. She apparently has something going on with other comedians. I heard about it because of Bert's podcast. What was his latest one? Annie Lederman. Okay. They talk about her summer camp, how they're doing this thing with a bunch of other comedians, and having a great time and all this other stuff. But it falls into that category of what are you waiting for? Like if you wanted to do something, what's holding you back? Is it your insecurity? Is it the idea that you don't know what you're doing? I mean, what is it? Seriously. These people that I follow, these people that I listen to them talk about their hopes, their dreams, their ideas, the things that they want to accomplish, they all start off from a place of not knowing, of being small, of being childlike, of how do I do this? I don't know how to do this. Let me learn. Okay. And then once you learn, teach others as much as you can. And then at some point you realize it's time to get out of the way. Now, I don't know when that is. I don't know if anybody knows when that is. I'm pretty sure it has to do with something where everyone around you becomes way bigger than you are and you suddenly realize nobody's paying attention to you anymore. So maybe that's it. I don't know. I think our first example of that is probably going to be Adam Carolla, to be honest. And I hate to say that, but Adam's been doing this for so long, and he is one of the originators of podcasts. He's not the first. We've all talked about the fact that Adam Curry is the first, but he's one of the first. Him, Mark Maron, there's a few others. Adam Curry, obviously. Um, they started way before a lot of other people, and they built something. Now, I listened to Adam religiously for a long time, and at a certain point, I went, "Okay, I think I've heard you rant enough times. I probably don't need to listen to that all the time. I get it. Like he is inspiring. He inspires the crap out of me. I would love to meet him one day. I'd love to tell him how much I enjoyed his Mr. Bertram character. I enjoyed his hustle. I enjoyed the fact that he entertained people nonstop and did so sort of accidentally, but on purpose. And then when he transitioned and built the pirate ship, he put a lot of people at work, and he put a lot of people in a position of making their life better. And he proved to the industry that he could do it. Not only that, but he was the one who fought the internet trolls who are trying to sue and get rights to podcasts and then basically take away all the money from everybody doing podcasts. He's the reason that podcasting is successful. Nobody gives him enough credit. But whenever these internet troll lawyer people went after him, he got together a Legion of Doom with the top podcasters in the world. And he says, "Hey, listen, we have a microphone and an audience. Let's put this to work." And he put up his own money. He put himself at risk and he fought it and he won. And for that, I'll be forever indebted and thankful for Adam Carolla. I mean, we talk about First Amendment a lot. You know, I talk about First Amendment a lot and the importance of being able to have a voice and say what you think and feel, and how YouTube holds you back sometimes, and how Spotify tends to hold people back sometimes. And everybody who has a platform tends to hold you back at some point. And Adam has pushed those boundaries at every step, and he's paved a path. And he said, if you don't like it, fine, just get out of the way because I'm going to keep doing this. And I like that. I like that hustle. I like that stand on your own 2 feet mentality. That's the kind of stuff I want to promote. That's the kind of stuff I want to grow. I mean, otherwise, what are we doing? Seriously. This is episode 266 of a podcast that started off because I heard LeeAnn Kreischer talk about Anchor. And I thought, hey, I could do it. I was inspired. I was inspired by Adam Carolla. I was inspired by Joe Rogan. I was inspired by Bert Kreischer. I was inspired by Tom Segura pushing Bert Kreischer and on an Easter turning the microphones on and go, listen, this is how we do it. You just turn the microphones and talk. And he's like, what do I do? And I don't know what to say. He's like, that's fine. We'll just have a conversation. It'll be fine. Go back and listen to that first episode. That's the episode that Joey Diaz is on, and he gives Bert's dad popcorn marijuana, and they have a great conversation about how much his dad just loves him and sees his own father in his son and doesn't want his kid to die young, or his kid or Bert's kids to grow up without a dad. And they really hug it out and have a moment, and it's beautiful. And you get to hear the friendship between Joey and Bert and Tom, and there's lots of good stuff in that first episode. But more than anything, the thing I got from it, the thing that impacted me the most was turn the microphone on. That alone, that push of Tom saying, "You can do this," is the same kind of push I want to give other people. It's the same kind of push that I felt. It's the same thing that we all need from time to time. My wife, at 47 years old, decided she wanted to start running a 5K. No one was pushing her, but a light bulb came on in her brain and she went, "I want to do this." Okay, well, first you have to say it and then you have to do it. And doing it's the hard part. Now, what does it take to run? I don't know. Put on some shoes and go run. Basically, if you can't run, you walk and then run and walk and then run. And then you build up to where you can run, right? How do you do anything in life? You start off with the first step. But if you don't take that step and you don't continue, then who cares? She could have basically said, "I want to start running," and gone out for her first run and went, "Oh, this is hard," and never did it again. And no one would talk about it. But she didn't stop there. She kept running. She kept doing 5K. She kept doing half marathons. She kept pushing herself and inspiring other people and getting other people motivated to do the same thing. A lot of them didn't continue with it, though. I don't talk about them, do I? She inspired me. She inspired a lot of people. And that's what we're here for, folks. Like, literally. Now, granted, I know not everybody, but if you're one of those people that just, goes along through life willy nilly and just lets stuff happen to them, that's fine. I mean, there's a place for everybody, right? Some people are doers, some people are talkers, some people are just people, and they just like to watch. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. I'm talking to the people who are doers. If you're a doer, what are you waiting for? If you have something that you want to promote, if you have something that you want to talk about, if you have something you want to start that maybe I can help you with, reach out to me. I'll help you. I don't care. I had Ron over here. Remember the tattoo artist that came over and we talked about his dad and his mom living on a boat and their crazy adventures they had? We got done and he says, why are you telling other people how to do what you know how to do, man? You've really figured out something here. And I go, yeah, I have. But I also want to promote other people to do it. And he goes, well, it's different in my industry. Like if I teach other people how to do it, it takes money out of my mouth. It takes food away from me. And I'm like, well, this is different. Plus, this is just who I am. Like I want to help people. I'm a helper. So I get it. His industry is a little more cutthroat. This is not. You can listen to me. You cannot listen to me. I'm glad you do. Thank you. But there may be somebody out there who's got a better voice than I do. Somebody out there who's more creative than I am. Somebody out there who's more inspirational. Somebody out there who can inspire me. I don't know. Maybe this is the conversation you needed to hear. So, with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up because I've run out of stuff to talk about. Oh, no, I haven't. No, I haven't. I forgot to talk about The Boys season finale. Ooh la la. So I'm going to finish this on The Boys, okay? So if you don't want to hear the season finale, you can cut it off now. But if you do want to hear about the season finale, keep listening because I'm going to talk about it and then I'm just going to be like, okay, and cue the cow. You know how it goes. So anyway, spoiler alerts. Beep, beep, beep. I need like a special alarm thing. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Okay, so season finale of The Boys. Holy crap. It ended so well. I'm so happy with it. Okay, so I don't know if you guys watched the episode before the last one, but the episode before the last one when all the heads are exploding in the courtroom, it was like, whoa. It was so crazy. And you thought for sure that Homelander was going down, and so was Stormfront, and it didn't happen. And then suddenly heads were exploding everywhere, and people had brain matter all over them, and it was totally freaky. And you're like, wait, who's doing the head exploding? That's so crazy. And it's one of those things, like I talked about, how the more outlandish it is, the more easier it is to watch. Like if it was based on something real, you'd be like, oh, it's kind of hard to watch. But because it's so outlandish, it's like tongue-in-cheek, dark humor-ish, gory. That's kind of what this was. It was almost humorous the way it happened, because they included sound too, like a popping noise, like a balloon or a watermelon popping, and people literally were exploding their heads. Now, is that a good thing in real life? No, of course not. In this show, is it cool? Yeah, it's kind of cool. So heads exploding, really awesome. You get to see a really cool confrontation between Stormfront and the other Super Friend girls. Maeve comes to the rescue. Good beat down between Maeve and Starlight and the Oriental lady. I don't know her name. Does she have a name? Anyway, the three of them are super awesome, and they have superpowers, and they fight Stormfront, and they are kicking her tail. And at a certain point, she gets scared and she flies away. And there's a whole thing between Butcher and his wife about the boy, and the boy apparently is really, really, really powerful. And Stormfront's she's threatening to kill the mom, and she's in the process of strangling her. And the boy loses his cool and basically melts her arms and her legs off, and it is really violent. And up to this point, it seems like Stormfront was invulnerable. Like her and what's his name, Homelander, they had kind of a hot sex scene where she's like lasering my boobs, and he's lasering her, and she heals herself, and it's kind of creepy. But then like the kid loses his mind, he gets mad, and because his mom's getting hurt, and he's and then like this flash of light, and suddenly this lady's bleeding out, and she looks like she's barbecued. I don't know if that means she's dead. We don't actually see her go and like that's it. But really cool scene. Spoiler alert, also the mom dies. Oh, that's sad. But she makes Butcher promise to protect her son. And he does. Kind of cool. I dig it. You also get to see the fact that, during that all-girl battle between the super villain and the super girls, is Stormfront twists that girl's neck, the Chinese girl, twists her, I think she's Chinese. She's Asian. Let's just call her Asian. Twists the Asian chick's neck, and you think she's dead, and then she just cracks her head back, and she's back in the fight. I was like, what? So we don't know all of the powers that the Asian chick has. Like I don't know all of her powers except for the fact that she's super strong. She can somehow heal herself, and yeah, she's really awesome. And she can't speak. She's nonverbal. Everything is this weird sign language thing that her and her brother made up. If you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. So the kid though, super powerful. Okay. Natural born. Homelander's half son. Like him and Butcher's wife had this kid. Again, if you haven't watched the show, that doesn't make any sense. Just watch the show. But yeah, natural born superhero kid, super, super powerful, apparently. And he didn't even know he had powers until this season. So very cool. And you get to find out who the head exploder chick is, because she pops one more head at the end, and it's unexpected and it's hilarious. And I'm so happy. Yeah. So the universe is expanding. Starlight and Maeve are buddies now, and they're back in the Seven. And you get to see Homelander losing his mind, standing up on top of a building, jerking off in front of the city that he's supposed to be protecting, because he's super pissed off and he lost everything. Basically, he lost his woman, he lost his kid. He has to accept the fact that these people are in his organization of the Seven, and they are against him, and his back's against the wall per se. And the A Train is in on it. A Train kind of helped take down Stormfront because he realized that she was a Nazi, and he wanted back in the Seven. That was his whole motivation. It's like, this girl is evil and people need to find out the truth. But also, like, he's super dangerous as being this incredibly fast guy that you can't even see when he goes, when he starts running. But the head exploding thing, oh, that's something special. That's gonna come up in the future. I'm looking forward to The Boys season 3 already. It just finished season 2, and season 3 is gonna be pretty dang cool. So there is the thing with Compound V too, where they talked about they got to have Compound V so they can make more superheroes. I'm kind of curious. They shut it down at the end with Vought Industries, but how many people got it before this happened? How many people are going to come forward? Season 3 is, yeah, that was before the program shut down. Or, yeah, they just said it shut down, but we really got it because, you got to have an antagonist, right? You got to have a good guy and a bad guy. And I like how the good guys and bad guys are so mixed up in this show. Like it's cool. It's a cool talking point. It makes the show interesting. So hats off to the writers, the directors, all the people who threw money at this, all the people who are watching it and promoting it and talking about it. Keep this going. It's a great show. Great show. And that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you to everybody who's listening. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed. Thank you to everybody who has left reviews, everybody who's bought shirts and merchandise from the website. I appreciate it. Check out the website, www.stuffiheard.com. You'll see photos of guests I've had on. You'll see videos. You'll see all the fun stuff there, links to contact me, everything. And if I'm missing something, let me know. I can figure out how to add it on. Or if you know how to do it better than I do, let me know. I'd like to learn. I'm always curious. I'm always trying to figure out how to make this better. I'm striving. So, with that being said, thank you. Hope everybody does well. Prayers to Derrick Brown and his family. And yeah, I appreciate every one of you. So, I always end this by saying the same thing, and this is no different.
So I want you guys to give me more likes. Give me more likes.